Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. Last night we visited with Congressman Andy Barr about impeachment and other news from Washington. In part two of my talk with him, the focus turns to his re-election bid and Matt Bevin's controversial pardons. You've officially filed for re-election, so the campaign now will, I assume, go into full swing. What are you hearing from your constituents that are the most important issues to them heading into this next election?
Well, jobs and the economy is always number one. My constituents, like every American family, they want financial security, they want bigger paychecks, they want more jobs. And we've had the privilege in the 4 terms I've served in Congress to serve on the committee really at the epicenter of the economy, the House Financial Services Committee. And now for the 2nd term in a row, I'm in the leadership of that committee where we're fighting for financial inclusion. We're fighting for technology that can help bring the unbanked and underbanked into the financial system, help them save for college, help them save for retirement, provide economic opportunity for small business owners to start jobs, create entrepreneurial opportunities and other business opportunities. And then empowerment. So for people who are struggling in poverty, we want to find work for them. We want to find upward, the American dream, upward mobility. And we're looking at ways how we can transform our safety net programs, especially with public housing, how we can marry public housing with also case management and job training and services that will help those individuals escape poverty through the dignity of work. What we need to do is find and help second chance employees, people who are struggling with addiction, people who are coming out of incarceration, people who are non-traditional in terms of entering the labor market, and help find those folks work. And it's a win-win. For the second chance employee who is maybe in an addiction recovery program, we want to give that individual, as part of his or her recovery, that second chance. Matching the employer community with these second chance employees is a win-win for the individual who can achieve his or her God-given potential, and for the economy, which needs workers.
When I travel through Eastern Kentucky, sometimes I wonder, how is that going to happen? How are we going to make that happen? And how are we going to make sure that in the meantime, those folks have the health care and things like that they need?
Well, there are barriers to employment, childcare, transportation, healthcare, as you say. But you know, one of the things we want to do is make sure people who are struggling with maybe a pre-existing condition, or who can't afford health insurance because they don't have an employer, or maybe they're in a Medicaid expansion plan on government health care, but they can't get the doctor that actually can treat their pre-existing condition because it's such a flimsy, bad plan. The best thing we can do for them is to get them trained up, skilled up, so that they can get a job with an employer that can provide them as a benefit, not just compensation, but a high quality private health plan that has protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Let's deal with the transportation issue, let's deal with the child care issue, and get folks into an employment situation where they can achieve that upward mobility and get the health care security that they deserve.
I've got to ask you about this because, I know it's kind of out of your scope, but obviously Andy Beshear won the governor's race and every other Republican won. So Matt Bevin out, and now we're talking about perhaps some prosecution in regards to his pardoning of certain people. What are your thoughts on that?
I just saw Governor Beshear, and we talked, congratulated him, of course, on his victory, and we're going to get together here in the next few weeks. We are of different parties, but it's very important that the federal delegation work with the governor, because so much of the resources that come to Kentucky are federal funds. And I wanted to just take an opportunity in the next few weeks to talk to Governor Beshear about some of the federal legislation that we've passed, especially in the area of combating the opioid epidemic and the federal funds that come to him. So we'll be talking about that and cooperating, and I'm sure we'll cooperate just fine to help people who are struggling with addiction in Kentucky. In terms of Governor Bevin's pardons and his commutations, what I would say about that is, it is a non-federal issue. I acknowledge that the governor has broad powers to pardon, and I certainly didn't spend any time reviewing these cases and don't know the particulars of these cases as maybe folks in the press or the governor has done. But what I would say in general is this: I have tremendous confidence in the prosecutors of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the juries of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the appellate courts And I think that the power to pardon should be used very sparingly and judiciously, because what it essentially means is overturning the decisions of prosecutors, juries, and courts in Kentucky. And from what I've read about some of these cases, not having all of the facts, but it's certainly some of these decisions I would not agree with.
And now, maybe the most important question. Kentucky and Louisville are going to play each other in basketball. Who wins? Who you like?
Oh, Kentucky. Absolutely. I kind of wish Louisville was still number one right here. Right here. But look at we're the wrong color tie. Wrong color tie.
But listen, we're at the
L's
sixth.
down. L's down.
We are at the 6th number 1 team of the year so far, and it's not even Christmas.
Yeah,
Kansas,
absolutely.
the new number. I wanted them to be number 1 too when we take them down.
Andy Katz from
Yes.
ESPN College Basketball, he once asked me, he said, what's the difference between being a congressman and a senator? I said, well, look, I'm a congressman and I'm a Kentucky basketball fan. Mitch McConnell is a U.S. senator. He's a Kentucky basketball fan and a Louisville basketball fan. There's no 2 teams for me. I'm only Big Blue Nation.
I love it. I'm hopeful. We looked good this weekend, so I am very hopeful.
Yeah, I am too.